Yo, welcome back to the channel. So this chapter, I love this chapter. I love this chapter. We get the feels with this chapter with Byron and with Virion, and it's just an overall just a really good chapter. I really liked it. But let's get started. So talking about the beginning of this chapter, right? Now, in the beginning of this chapter, we get Arthur in a dream, and he sees Sylvie, and he starts thinking about his life. Well, first he starts thinking about how his life, how it would have been, if he wasn't born into the world with the key, and if he knew who his parents were, and how he just would have lived a boring, normal life without all these different complexities and whatnot. And then you get Sylvie comes in like, no, you wouldn't have lived some normal life. You would have been important, but then we get Sylvie. Sylvie shows up in his dream, and she looks like him. The same hair, the same eyes, and except that she's a human, right? And she has her horns. And so it gets me thinking that, okay, maybe this dream is more close to reality. And so when he finally brings her back, she's actually going to look similar to him and not going to look like her former self, because we know that she used some high level ether art to, take a portion of her body and combine it with Arthur's to save his life. And so obviously there's going to be consequences for that. So I would think that she wouldn't be as strong as she used to be at her full power. And she'll probably end up looking like how she did in the dream. And so it kind of gives you a glimpse of like, okay, maybe she might look like this, and not look the same way. So that's something to think about. So then Arthur wakes up, and, he's in a room with Gideon and Emily. And, we find out that his hand didn't fully get regenerated. So it's kind of like a stump by his wrist, right? So, I mean, that's gives you a little bit more information as far as, what happened with him trying to heal and then get back and do the big bluff, the biggest bluff in the world, as I call it. And he didn't regenerate his whole hand. So that's a little bit more realistic. Like, I still don't. Let me move on, right? So his hand hasn't fully regenerated. He's still in a lot of pain. And, Gideon and Arthur, they have their little banter back and forth. But then we find out that Regis is okay. Regis is okay. He's still just a little pup, and hasn't fully got back to full health again. But he just needs more ether. But he didn't want to take Arthur's ether because he was afraid that he was going to kill him, because Arthur just had like no ether left. So obviously Regis still cares about Arthur. Arthur cares about Regis. He was worried about him and whatnot. And so, it's always nice, getting to see their their back and forth, because they started off like really, just kind of Regis is joking around all the time, and then Arthur just like, you're just a weapon and all this other stuff, and then Regis got feelings and stuff. So it was really nice, like their whole development throughout the story is just really dope. But now to the point where they just kind of just, yeah, I care about you. Yeah, I care about you too. And they just move on. It's like, it's no big deal. So that's cool. Now, Arthur talks about how, he had to gather up enough ether to do a single God step and, summon his armor in order to do that bluff. Now, I guess he had a little bit more time to gather ether than I originally thought, because based off of what Byron was saying, once the noise kind of quieted down, it was it all happened just really quick compared to Byron's perspective. So maybe Arthur just had a little bit more time than I thought to be able to gather ether and do the God step to be able to bluff his way out of protecting everybody in that situation to get them to retreat. So I'll just leave it at that. So that's fine. Now Arthur continues with his idea about the fire salts. And so we don't get to know exactly what his idea is. We just know that it's not the cannons that Gideon originally wanted to use it for. But it will strengthen the non-magical people. So then we move on, and Byron shows up. No, it was kind of a little funny to me because Gideon ended up running into Byron in the door, and then he wouldn't move, and so he had to like kind of like shimmy his way through the little space that Byron had left him in order to exit out. And Emily ended up just getting out of there because he ended up moving and shifting out of the way. But man, the apology that Byron gives to Arthur, he literally said that he was sorry for the threats he made against his family and for attacking him. And, he understands that he's not going to blame Arthur for what happened with Lucas. And so, like, he really he said his pride is what got in the way. And that's what caused him to act that way, just because he felt that it was an insult. He wasn't even mad about Lucas being killed. He just looked at it as an insult to his family name. But then he really finds out how evil his family is, how his family doesn't have any loyalty. They're just whoever they think the winners are, that's what they're going to go with. And so he does have loyalty, which is why he's, I'm talking about Byron. Byron does have loyalty, which is why he stuck around all this time, even with everything that's happened. And so it just shows you that like he's a very prideful person, but he's now learning that he shouldn't let his pride get in the way of making, the right decisions. And so like he apologized. And so Arthur's just kind of like just taken aback by it, just kind of nervous and awkward about it. But then Arthur actually says that he, feels like, he wasn't any different in his reaction from Byron's reaction when he killed Lucas. And so I don't think what he's saying is that he regrets killing him. I think it was the way he went about doing it and how he said he made enemies, and it wasn't smart strategically. And and I mean, yeah, you can say that it was cruel with everything he did, but I mean, that motherfucker Lucas, he was a bastard, man. Like he was just, but maybe that was the real point of Lucas's character, right? Because you'll get some complaints about Lucas, how he could have been a much better character, more deeper, fleshed out. He could have been a real villain, but he was just kind of like one of these characters that's just, he was just just evil just for the sake of being evil. It wasn't really any meaning behind it. Like, we know that he lived under the shadow of his brother Byron, but like from the way that we understand the story, him and Byron wasn't very close. So he was just evil and trying to do whatever he can to get more powerful to show up Arthur, why he was so jealous of Arthur just because he was better at him. Like, it was just really stupid. But maybe the real point of his character was to help Byron grow, right? So we needed that event to happen, him being evil, Arthur coming in and killing him. Maybe all that was set up just so that Byron can get the character development, so he can go from angry and wanting to kill you and threatening your family and all this other, to now he's like, I understand that wasn't the right way to behave, and I'm sorry, and now we're at this point. So maybe that was really Lucas's true reason of being the way that he was. It was for Byron's character development. That's kind of how I'm thinking about it. So now I guess we can see Arthur and Byron being respected leaders, like, I wouldn't say best friends, but like just like really close, where dependable, reliable, respect each other, and they're like cool. Like, I can see them like laughing, telling jokes, telling stories or whatever. Because even Byron himself, he's really mellowed out. Like, he used to be very uptight, and he's now more compassionate and whatnot. The whole situation with Micah, like, he cares. He grabbed Micah, she was unconscious and whatnot. Like, he really cares. Him crying and stuff like that, trying to trick the Scythe. Like, he's really like, put down his wall and like got more comfortable with like showing how he feels and things, like, not being so uptight. So you can see them being like, best friends almost. But it's just cool. Like, I hope we get more insight into like what Byron really thinks about a lot of the things that be going on. And I don't know, I like Byron. Byron's dope. Now next, we get my man Virion comes in. You know, haven't seen Virion very much since Arthur had came back. But now he finally comes in and he sits down and he needs to talk to Arthur. And I'm just like, yes, we finally get, because man, I'm not gonna say Virion's my favorite character, but man, he's up there. You know, like I said, everything he done gone through, you know. But anyway, he talks to Arthur. And he talks about he's been avoiding Arthur since he's gotten back. And how since Arthur came through the portal to rescue them, how disappointed he was the fact that he came alone and didn't have Tessia with him. And he also talked about how he didn't want to hate him for that, which is very strange to me, because I don't understand why he would start thinking about hating Arthur when Arthur has literally done everything he can to keep her safe. Like, I don't know if he got the explanation about what happened the first time, but like, she ran away like a dumbass, not listening to anybody, which is one of her dumbest moments. But she ran away trying to save her family, her traitorous ass mom and dad, who are trash, and went to go try to save them. Which, I mean, yeah, you care about your parents, but like your grandpa, like everybody, like why would you do that? Like, but then again, she felt like she was being selfish because, you know, she's only one person. She doesn't think that she's that important. But like, you said that you made a promise with Arthur and y'all want to have a family and move and, you know, grow together and whatnot. So you are important. So it's like, kind of like, why are you acting like you're not important when you are important? It was just stupid. And so I don't know if Virion ever got the explanation of what happened, but Arthur literally went and rescued her from Nico and ended up dying in the process. Like, had to create a fucking portal because the actual portal, the gate, ended up getting destroyed. So literally made his own portal to get them back to the sanctuary, saving her life and him pretty much dying in the process until Sylvie ended up, you know, sacrificing herself to try to save him. And so I'm just like, yo, he literally died to bring your daughter back. Like, do you not know that? Why would you hate him because he didn't show up with her? You know, so that's where my mind immediately went to. But anyway, but he doesn't blame him for that though. He just said that he was, you know, he felt that way. He didn't want to feel that way towards Arthur. Arthur finally tells him that, you know, Tessie is not gone completely, that she's still in there. She's still in her body. She might not have control of it, you know, with Cecilia having control of it, but she's still actually in there. And, you know, he breaks down, you know, because now he has there's still hope. There's still a chance that his daughter, you know, his son's daughter, not his daughter, but his son's daughter, his granddaughter is still alive. And, you know, he just breaks down and, you know, grieves and mourns just everything that didn't happen. Like I said, Virions went through so much, like everything, losing everything, his home, the Lances, his kid, his just like then his granddaughter, the war, just like his wife, like Renia. I mean, just everybody, man. So yeah, so he just cries and let it all out, you know. Man, oh man. So the artifacts that Kessis Winsome had gave to Virion, I was right. So pat myself on the back, because my whole theory was that those artifacts was going to be used at some point to be able to power up either the Lances or, you know, one of the mages. And so he has the artifact. Arthur has the artifacts now. And so he thinks that he can still make use of those artifacts. And I think that that's exactly what they're going to do. He's going to be able to power up the Lances, or, you know, somebody else, another mage, to get them stronger, you know, using the artifacts. It may not be to the same extent that they originally would have been used for, but he's going to figure out some way to use that to make them stronger. And so I was right. So that's cool. But now he's talking to Regis, and they're talking about going back to the relic tombs so that way they can replenish their ether and get back to full strength, and not just, you know, gradually suck the ether out of the atmosphere. But he first has to go and see his family and see what's going on with them. So then this chapter ends off with, you know, Arthur's conversation with his mom. And, you know, she went through extreme backlash trying to heal him. And, you know, because Arthur was out for a day and a half. And, you know, she's really exhausted. She didn't get any sleep. So she's finally resting. And he was able to, you know, have a conversation with her. And she's explaining to him about how, you know, she might have said the right things back when, you know, their dad died. Or, you know, his dad died. And they got to talk again. And she said the right things, but she said she didn't act on it. And, you know, she's like a lot more empathetic with, or understanding, I could say understanding too, with Arthur being reincarnated. And, you know, like she mentions like, you know, him trying to do things right, or trying to, you know, make things right, you know, and like he says, like, you know, you just gotta learn and you gotta just keep trying. And so she says she just wants to be his mom again. And, you know, she says like, you know, slowly, hopefully that he can let her be his mom. And she made him some food. And so then Arthur goes over there and he's eating the porridge, his first meal cooked by his mom in years. And he just, you know, just breaks down. And so that was just a great ending. Just the emotions and the feelings of everything with, you know, with his mom and his family. And I thought it was excellent. So that's it for you guys. Questions. What do you think Arthur's idea is with the fire salts? Will Arthur use the artifacts to power up the lances? And is Agrona going to attack Arthur immediately, or is he going to be distracted with what Ceres is doing in Alacria? But anyway, let me know what you guys think about this chapter, and like the video if you did, and I'll check you guys out in the next one. Peace.